Welcome to the Rider Outsiders, where we talk CFL football and your Saskatchewan Roughriders. I'm Mitch Wiles with Dylan Robson and the self-professed genius of Canadian football, Bryce Wiles. And today we have a clip from an alleged assault from the big playoff game at Mosaic Stadium. Gentlemen, how are you doing?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't have any quippy, happy, fancy remarks this week, that's for sure.
Yeah, it kind of was a playoff game to forget. It was kind of like a whole playoff week to forget for some teams.
That's right. So the Riders lost at home 23-18 in a underwhelming offensive showing. Let's start off with the head hit in the fourth quarter on Brandon Bridge, the uncalled hit that caused what appeared to be a concussion. Dylan, so you were in the stands watching that. How did that go down from the stands?
Honestly, from the stands. Now, this might be somewhat of a defense for the referees, but from the stands, I didn't see the head hit until they showed the replay on the screen. And I think most of the fans didn't see that head hit until the replay on the screen, because we all saw Bridge down and not getting up. But then they showed the replay, and as soon as that head hit happened, the sound from that stadium, it's one of those moments where I'm going to remember that sound for a while, because it was 25,000 people sharing a moment of disgust. It was just like, we couldn't believe it happened again.
Yeah,
2 games in a row.
Oh, it's crazy to lose your starting quarterback on the last regular season game and then have the backup go down on the final drive of the game where they could win it all. It's insane. Both missed calls. So on television, the camera had already panned to the pass, right? So we didn't see the hit either until they cut back and Bridge is on the ground, and they go to the replay, and it's obvious that he sort of lunged up there and made contact with the head. But Bryce, how did you see it?
Oh, yeah. When I was watching the game, it was pretty obvious that he got hit illegally. And to see another no call is just amazing. When all season long you've been seeing roughing the passer calls go for way less than that. So it's mind-boggling. It's like your mind, it's in a bottle, you know?
Mind-boggling. Yes.
Bottling.
Well, and the commissioner came out when Claros got hit and saying, all right, we're going to, we missed this, we got to do better. And then it happens again. And for whatever reason, the video official is not allowed to call the penalty. The refs can't look at the replay to call the penalty. They just have to go with what they saw live, which sounds a little bit crazy. That, I guess, might change. It might change for next year, or the commissioner is getting pressured. He might make that change during the playoffs. What do you think about making a change so the video official in Toronto can make that call when the refs miss it? Dylan?
Now, clarify something for
Sure.
me, because does it need to be a change? Can't the video official booth, can't they do that right now anyways when it comes to scoring plays, when it comes to turnovers? Don't they automatically review those anyways? Aren't they supposed to be automatically?
Yeah, so
okay.
I suppose if that would have been a turnover, if Bridge would have threw an interception, the video official could have reviewed it and saw the late hit, the high hit. But it has to be a scoring play or over turnover. Excuse me, a scoring play or a turnover, I believe, for them to get in there and make a call. So they have a list of plays they're allowed to do.
If that's the case, then it's really a minor amendment to allow the official booth to review a hit to the head. So, I mean, make the change in the playoffs if you can do that.
Make it now. Otherwise, what do you want these players to continue to play under these rules where 2 quarterbacks just got knocked out? It makes sense to try to make the hit, and I believe there's some meetings going on this week to make that happen. Bryce, do you agree they should make a change in mid-playoffs or leave it for next year?
I think something has to happen because they need to protect the quarterbacks, especially in the CFL, where the quarterback is really the linchpin of a team up here in the CFL. Not to take anything away from Andrew Harris on Winnipeg, who did a pretty amazing job there, 19 carries for 153 yards. It's kind of what I was hinting at on our last podcast, is that the Riders had to stop Andrew Harris to kind of have a shot at this game, or else Winnipeg was just going to control the clock and control the scoreboard with the run game.
Dylan, do you want to say what you think was lacking? Why did the Bombers beat the Riders?
Why did the Bombers beat the Riders? Well, hey, let me take a page out of Bombers fans' playbook, because I never forget a Winnipeg Blue Bomber complaint. So let me go back 11 years to the 2007 playoffs that resulted in a Roughriders Bombers Grey Cup. And there was one quarterback named Kevin Glenn who, moments before the Grey Cup, well, I shouldn't say the final minutes of the last game before the Grey Cup, Kevin Glenn broke his arm. And in the Grey Cup 2007, Ryan Dinwiddie got the start for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. And we never stopped hearing Bomber fans whine and cry about it since. If we had Kevin Glenn, we would have won the Grey Cup. If we had Glenn, we would have won the Grey Cup. It's just on and on. Hasn't stopped. So now here we are, 2018. We lose our starting quarterback right before this historic home playoff game. And we're forced to go with our backup, who we know is not going to give us as good a chance to win. So I think that's it. What is that? Is that karma? Are we finally even now? Now we can sort of move on after this season? Yeah.
Well, I think you nailed it on the head. Not having Zach Claros changes that offense. The offense wasn't that good to begin with, but it's much weaker with Brandon Bridge, unfortunately. And there he just doesn't have the same experience and skill set that Claros has. And the defense played well enough, right? They gave up 23 points. You can't. They didn't have any big pick sixes or anything like that, like they were doing all year. But 23 points, we should be able to match that. Thank goodness we have a good field goal kicker, right? And we got up to 18. But it's the quarterback. There's a quarterbacking problem. Bryce, do you see it as just a quarterbacking, or is there more issues?
I think it was a quarterbacking issue for sure. He was in there. Brandon Bridge was trying, but 53% for completion percentage is not going to do it in the playoffs. You're going to have to make more completions than that. There was some times where he did. He only threw one interception, but there's some times where he's stretching it out deep, which I didn't see him do this year. Like they kind of restricted him to those short yardage, kind of high percentage plays. We saw him stretch the defense a little bit in this playoff game. There was the one pass that unfortunately hit the goalpost, and you think a Canadian quarterback would kind of be aware of that. Maybe not so much for an American quarterback. Yeah, right?
I was standing in that end zone during that pass when it hit that goalpost, and I was looking at that ball as it was in the air. To me, you know how sometimes the ball's in the air, you see the receiver, and you're like, "This is it. This is a touchdown." Before that ball hit the post, I never got that feeling. No. It didn't look like it was going to land right in his hands, if you ask me. Like it kind of looked like an overthrow.
I agree with you. Yeah.
Okay, but we'll never know for sure, I guess. I want to also mention there was a throw. I believe it was in the first quarter. Bridge had a little drive there. I think it was that same drive where he did the run to the outside there that got quite a few yards. And then we had Roosevelt. On an out route, he was in the end zone. There was Bridge takes the snap. Roosevelt does an out route. As he's in the end zone, Bridge goes for the pass. There was like that sort of, the 1/2 second delay on Bridge when he looked at Roosevelt, then threw it, and it was kind of a lob. That's what I'm talking about with Bridge. Those delays where he's like, hey, look, I think he's open. I'm going to throw it. No, it's got to be a throw as he realizes that Roosevelt's open. That's what Zach Collaros brought. That's what Bridge doesn't bring. There was that half-second delay. By the time he threw the ball went behind Roosevelt and he couldn't catch it. So, I mean, that's what I noticed immediately once Zach Collaros was the starter. Those throws were instant. It was one Mississippi, two, gone. Bridge, it's a lot different.
Yeah, so there's the pass that hit the post, then the second drive. Yeah, I'm not sure if we're talking about the same drive. We might be. It was a pass to Roosevelt. They're on the 8-yard line, overthrows them,
yeah.
And then we have to kick a field goal, right? So, like, those points, another 4 points there in the first quarter, a touchdown instead of a field goal from the 16-yard line goes a long way. And we just needed to capitalize more earlier on. Well, because we had the first 2 drives, we got 2 field goals out of it. If we punch one of those in, it just changes the game completely.
While you're talking about the score, let me just bring this up as well. I mentioned how Bombers were forced to go with their backup quarterback, and this playoff game, we were forced to go with our backup quarterback. We lost this playoff game 23-18. Do you guys remember what the score was when the Bombers lost the 2007 Grey Cup?
No.
No, go for it.
23-19. Only a 1-point difference. This is karma coming back to get us. Sometimes you just can't beat the weight of the universe, guys. That's all this was.
The problem was the weight of the universe.
Yes.
Fair enough.
It was something, in the ether. Just seemed like this energy just was circling back to get the Riders and kind of squash their dreams of playoff victories.
All right, before we get into the rest of the playoffs, if we could talk a little bit, let's just finish up this QB conversation. A lot of free agents coming up this offseason, including Brandon Bridge, including Zach Collaros, correct?
Yes.
So, the question we asked last week, let's ask it again now that we've lost this game. Who do you want to bring back on the current stable? Who do you want to bring in from elsewhere? Bryce, do you want to go first?
I personally, I love Zach Collaros. I would like to see an improvement in quarterback on the Riders. Not that Zach Collaros isn't a good quarterback, but I think there could be some improvement there. I don't know what's going to happen. There's so many options out there, like you guys were saying last week. So many quarterback contracts are coming to a close. So I'm just excited for next year, really. Like, you know how everybody says, oh, better luck next year? I'm excited about this Rider team next year. I think they're going to be another big-time contender in the West.
I don't know, because they need to put some money on the offense, in the offense. Brandon Bridge doesn't look like he's quite there yet. Could he turn it around next year? Maybe. But he's not a starting quarterback. He hasn't showed it yet. Collaros, with all the concussions this year, he can't be your number one. You can bring him in and he can compete, but you really need to have like a 1A and a 1B if you're going with Zach. He missed a good chunk of the games this year. So that leaves me, if I was the GM, you got to bring in some experience. So whether that you throw a bunch of money at Mike Riley or we keep Drew Tate, try to bring him back next year. I'm not sure what you do. You have to get some experience. There's only so many number one quarterbacks in this league. We're in trouble. I think the defense looks good, but the offense is in trouble. That means the team's in trouble. Dylan?
Yeah, I'm sorry to interrupt, but I think we talked about this last week, and I think I want to talk about it again. Chris Strevler is a guy that shows serious promise, and he's not the only one in the CFL. A young guy that shows serious promise. Antonio Pipkin. What? Antonio Pipkin.
Who?
Another guy. I mean,
say it again.
Montreal. Antonio Pipkin. He's been signed by the Montreal Alouettes already. So, I mean, they obviously see some promise in him as well. But, you know, I'm sure they're willing to trade for anything, judging the state of that team.
Yeah, and you got some good ones in there. Even, like we're saying, you were talking about Toronto. Was it Bethel Thompson's over there? And then there's that guy with all the hype. Who was that one guy?
Jermaine Franklin?
Benjamin Franklin.
Jam Franklin.
Benjamin Franklin?
Jamin Franklin.
And with Ray likely retiring, I assume they try to hold on to both those guys. Now, if Montreal is going to go with Pipkin, what do you think about bringing over Johnny Football?
Ooh.
I think that's more of an experiment. It's still an experiment, even though it would be his second year in the CFL. It's an experiment, and Rider fans don't handle experiments very well.
No, they do not. With the old Deron Carter experiment, you could just imagine what people would be talking about around the water cooler at the office if old Johnny Football was under center in Saskatchewan.
But so, Dylan, I'm looking for an answer on this one. So, would you be happy with if Chris Jones re-signs Collaros, Bridge? I assume Watford sticks around. So you come back with those three guys, the same ones we have this year. Are you happy or are you upset?
Something has to change. We can't run the same three quarterbacks with the same offensive playbook. Something has to change there. Now, am I hinting that McAdoo needs to change his playbook? Maybe. But I don't think I would be happy with the same three quarterbacks coming in. I think that they had promise, but the results weren't there. I said a few weeks ago that if we can't win the playoff game, there's going to be a problem. The problem is obvious. You know, the offense didn't have what it takes to get it done. We kind of saw that throughout the year, but there was a lot of wins being piled up, so it was working.
Mm-hmm.
So, like I said, I honestly think Strevler has what it takes to be a starter in this league.
I would like him go after Strevler.
I would like to see him brought in, and even if you have Zach, similar to Kevin Glenn, see if he's willing to take that mentorship role with him. I think it would be awesome to just name a new starter instead of picking up one of the old guys from the league who's laying around, who's got an open contract this year.
Yeah, and he seems.
So, I'd say
he seems really tough.
Take a chance on a new guy.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
he's tough. He can run. He can throw. So you got to take a lot of hits apparently in this league. Now, news from I believe yesterday, McAdoo is coming back next year as the offensive coordinator. Chris Jones confirmed to some media. Bryce, are you happy with that?
I'm not going to be one of those guys who's going to try and comment on Chris Jones's decisions. I think everybody in Saskatchewan's been doing that all year, and we ended up in second place with a home playoff game. So I'm going to I'm just going to say that Jones is the captain of the ship, and if these are the people that he's comfortable working with, then I think it's a good call. Let's not jump the ship just yet and start cleaning house. I mean, there's some things we need to improve, but the whole system, I know how Dylan likes to talk about systems. The system seemed to work here this year, and it people came around to it once we started winning those games, and we had the second best record in the whole league. So that's got to stand for something.
Yeah,
I mean, you're not going to lose. You can't lose your job if you have the second best record for wins in the whole league.
But I think you're allowed to break it down further and look at how good is the offense. Like, how crappy was our offense this year? And we could take a look at that.
We could. And regardless of the offense, the people, oh my God. Have you had a chance to listen to the call-in shows or
no, I
read the comments?
No.
I mean, they want McAdoo gone. I mean, there's no denying that. So I mean, there's people talking about like selling their season tickets. That's the level of anger they have with McAdoo right now. I'm not quite there, but
that's common.
But you could get
chatter at the end of a season. Passing yards, we are 8th, just ahead of Montreal. Passing touchdowns, 11th. Wait, sorry. Ooh. Passing touchdowns, 9th.
How many teams?
Yeah. We had 11 passing touchdowns in 18 games. That's ugly. Ugly. Now, that said, rushing yards, first.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, rushing TDs, second last, 8th. So we just weren't scoring touchdowns with this offense. I blame it partially on I know I brought this up before, and I can't really prove it, but I think most of the money was spent on defense. We had lots of rookies on offense, and when the number one quarterback goes down, you have a bunch of rookies flying around, and you got a backup quarterback. You're just not going to score many points. But I love the Strevler idea. Maybe we can make a move on him. He'll come a lot cheaper than a Mike Riley. That's for sure.
Similar to what we were talking about with the struggles on offense here, like there was too many runs on the game. Yeah, I get it. We need to establish the run. The weather's cold, snowing, but it just seemed like we were playing a defensive game with our offense while we were down. Like, at what point does playing it safe while you're behind trying to score points? At what point does that stop working? Like, or does it seem like, hey, let's change something here? You know, it's the playoffs. Like what the hell were we waiting for? You know, what the hell are we doing screen passes for when we're down by, close to 10 points, and it's the second half, and it's the playoffs, and it's like we know our offense struggling. We're still doing the same plays that they've been blocking since that shutout a few weeks ago. Like, I don't know why they think that's going to work. It's been scouted. It didn't work when we got shut out, and it didn't work in the first half.
It's hard to say if they think that's going to work or that's our only option, right? There's no faith that Bridge is going to make the other passes. I don't know. It's hard to say. It's hard to say.
Well,
even if you're a coach, you're going to say, you know what, Bridge, let's get her done right now. This is it. This is the time. You know, and there's got to be some sort of Rudy type moment there. God.
But the key moment of this game was that one duck he threw up. It's intercepted. They march it down the field, score a touchdown. You take that turnover away, right? And it's a different ball game if we get a field goal there instead of coughing it up and them getting a touchdown. It's a one score game. Go ahead, Bryce.
Yeah, you look at the imagination from Winnipeg. Didn't they do a flea flicker?
Yeah,
didn't they do one of those? They didn't. They were pulling out the back pages of their playbook for this first playoff game, right? They were probably throwing everything at the Riders because the Riders is a good defense, and they're trying everything they can to kind of shake up that strong, Rider wall. And I think it worked, but we definitely didn't see any of the imagination on the Riders' offensive playbook there. So I can see what you're talking about there, Dylan, about how McAdoo needs to go. But when you have your second string quarterback in there, like everyone was saying, in the earlier part of the season when Brandon Bridge was the starter, we were seeing it then. We were seeing it was like the old Super Famicom Tecmo Bowl where he only had 4 plays, like up an A and down an A. And that was pretty much the offense for the whole game. So,
Yeah, the run on first down until they get sacked in the backfield. Go ahead.
Midway through the season, Chris Jones said, we saw what Calgary does. They do a lot of screen passes and short plays, and that's what we're going to do. We're going to see it. I'm going to say it. We're going to do it right now. Nothing you can do to stop us. But that works when you're, of championship caliber. If you have the guys executing that play who, isn't a team of rookies or an offensive line that is being patched together because of injuries, then those kinds of plays work.
Well, I was just gonna point out there, Dylan, that your Jones impression needs a little bit more twang in it. I think he sounds more like, well, Calgary, they like to do some screen passes and some short plays. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you got it. That's good.
I think I nailed it. It's getting better.
Yeah. I know. I'm going with more whiskey voice than Southern Sun.
All right, something I want to bring up is losses to the NFL. Do you guys see any of our players making the jump in the offseason to the NFL? One name that was brought up was Samuel Iguavin during the broadcast.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, are they saying he's getting looks?
Which broadcast was it? It's a good question. But yeah, it'd be a surprise if he didn't get a bunch of looks. I think it was actually it might have been Luke on the post game that he'll likely get a bunch of tryouts, so he'll be gone.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, that's possible. And you know what? Our defense is so deep. Mm-hmm. There's so much depth there that we could afford to lose a couple guys, and I don't think we'd be terribly affected.
I think Moncrief probably could have had a look, but he got injured twice, so he'll probably be sticking around. They don't seem to like taking guys that have a bunch of injuries.
I honestly think Kyran Moore, if he's
Yeah.
how many touchdown returns did he get? 2? Was it 2 or 3?
He got hot and then he sort of cooled off at the end, but he is elusive. So, and he's young and he's healthy. It'd be
the NFL. They love that. What is his 40 speed? It's 4.3. Was it?
Yeah.
Was it 4.3 or 4.4? Like that's right. Yeah, that's where the NFL gets you, right? And we saw Stephen Logan. He's a BC Lion now, but he went to the NFL strictly on speed, so he could return kicks. So Kyran Moore
stayed there for a couple of years. The one thing with Kyran Moore is on paper, right? If you don't bring him in and give him a look and see that speed, he's 165 pounds, right? So maybe some GMs will just think that guy's going to get killed in the NFL. So we're thinking Sam McGuavin potentially, and we're thinking Kyran Moore might get a look. Anything else?
Brandon Bridge, no, I'm kidding. Stephen McAdoo, no.
Well, JWL has a good chance of. He was our rookie of the year, right?
Yeah, so there's a chance there.
He gets a little bit of press with his rookie of the year award, but that's just a team award. Likely, the rookie of the year goes to Ward, right? The kicker.
Yes.
Ooh, yeah.
Probably. Yes.
Probably breaking records in his rookie year. All right. So with this loss, this means, my goodness, Winnipeg moves on to play Calgary. And Hamilton and Ottawa will battle it out in Ottawa. How do you see these playoffs shaping out there, Dylan?
I honestly, say what you want, but we obviously have a history with Winnipeg. We don't like Winnipeg, this and that. There's the Labor Day, there's the Banjo Bowl, the whole Troy Westwood thing. You know how it goes. The history is deep there, but I don't want to see Calgary win the Grey Cup. So I hope Winnipeg goes into McMahon Stadium, beats the Stamps. They head to the Grey Cup, and then on the other side of the league, I'd like to see Hamilton. I think a Hamilton-Winnipeg Grey Cup is something the league would greatly benefit from, because both of these teams' fan bases have been in a drought.
Yeah, both fan bases deserve it. Yeah,
both fan bases deserve it. Now, we can say what we want about Winnipeg fans. Some of them can get a little out of control, I think. Yeah. But that's how I see it.
Now, before we get into the Winnipeg fans getting out of control, let's get Bryce's take. Playoffs. Who's winning what?
Well,
who's winning the cup?
Well, there's what I would like to see, and then what is probably going to happen. We just saw Hamilton just completely annihilate BC 48-8. Like, wow, what a way. I think they had them shut out for most of the game, right? And then there was that garbage time kind of maybe points BC got at the end. Like, it would be really, really nice to see a Hamilton Winnipeg Grey Cup. Wouldn't that be great? Well, in Edmonton, right? Calgary's been so strong, and Calgary and Ottawa both had a week off to rest, prepare, so they have the advantage. I'd love to see those underdogs win it, Hamilton and Winnipeg, but I think Ottawa and Calgary are going to be playing in the Grey Cup up in Edmonton, and there's going to be a lot of Calgary fans making the trip to Edmonton to see their team play.
I've been choosing Ottawa a lot this year, but I think Hamilton, after coming off that big win, I think they could take this. And then, I sort of liked Dylan's ideas there with Winnipeg beating Calgary. I guess I'd prefer to see that. Will it happen? Potentially. Calgary is sort of on a losing kick. I guess they did win their last regular season game. But Dylan, who do you think wins that? So Hamilton and Winnipeg in Edmonton.
You know what? Anything I say would be essentially a coin toss. I think that the Winnipeg. You remember back when they had the whole Swaggerville thing happening?
Yeah. I
think this last part of the season, it's Winnipeg returning to Swaggerville. The Revenge of Swaggerville, something like that. The Blue Bombers have been on fire. I think their players have bought in completely. I think the fans are ready for this Grey Cup run, and so I still think Hamilton is the better team, but I think, and I side with passion. I think Winnipeg has the edge when it comes to momentum and passion, and I think in that game the Bombers would take it. So it would be, if Winnipeg faces Hamilton, it'll be a Winnipeg Grey Cup champion. However, in that scenario, I think I'd actually be cheering for Hamilton. So
I do think it's the year of Mazzoli, so he might as well finish with the Grey Cup. But, Winnipeg defense is pretty solid, right? Outside of our defense, I think they were the second best defense. Hamilton wins in a Hamilton-Winnipeg Grey Cup. I like that.
So Dylan's taking Winnipeg.
I'm taking Hamilton.
Yeah.
And
I'm taking Hamilton.
Bryce is taking Ottawa.
Even though Calgary is first, I think Ottawa might make a really good run with their really good running back and their really good quarterback, and then Calgary just might fall a little flat in that last game. That because they seem to do that in the playoffs.
Could you imagine if Calgary lost the third Grey Cup in a row? Could you imagine that?
Buffalo.
No, it's going to happen.
They had it.
All right. Dylan, you're talking about rowdy Bomber fans. You're in the stands. What happened?
So we were standing right over the Pilsner Place section, the south end zone. We were just standing on the concourse there. It's a pretty good place to watch the game. There's a beer stand right behind us. There's the coffee liqueur stand right beside that. There's washrooms right there. There's the food right there.
Some hot toddies.
It's a busy section, and so we hear a little commotion behind us. Look back. It's Rider fans arguing with Bomber fans. And, kind of heated, but whatever, fine. We go back to watching the game, and it was about probably 10 minutes later, we hear some more commotion. Look back, and I see a Rider fan, Rider jersey and everything, completely laid out on the ground, unconscious. A Winnipeg Blue Bomber fan in a Winnipeg jersey running away from a group of Rider fans who are grabbing at him. I mean, it looked like a pride of lions trying to take down a big wildebeest kind of thing. They were clawing at this Bomber fan, and he's shaking his arms, he's moving around, he's trying to get away from all this horde of Rider fans. So he runs. There was a stage they had there where the band was playing. He kind of runs beside the stage and behind, and he ended up getting away from this horde of Rider fans, and he just disappeared into the crowd. And I'm like, my God, I look back, and all of a sudden now there's security around this unconscious Rider fan. So I started asking around, who saw what happened? There was one guy who saw the Bomber fan allegedly punch this Rider fan. And it's not a nice thing to see because it's cold. This guy would not be laying on the ground if he was anything else but unconscious. So they did get medics there, helped him out. They had a stretcher, but I don't think he actually went on the stretcher. I think they had him walking by the time they had the stretcher there for him. So I think we could roll the tape of the interview.
So I'm here with a witness who saw the actual punch happen. What did you see exactly?
This is an altercation between two guys, Winnipeg fan, Rider fan, and the Winnipeg fan punched the guy, and the Winnipeg fan's buddies took him off, and they hustled him away.
So did you see why the fight started or anything?
No, I didn't see why the fight started. I just seen the altercation.
Did you see the actual contact?
Seen the punch, and then his buddies dragging him off.
Scary.
I don't know what happened. I don't know how it started. So.
Yeah, so we don't know how the fight started. We do know a Rider fan has been knocked out. Police are here on the scene, and a Bomber fan has ran out into the crowd. So thank you for having us.
So there it is. Obviously, that's not how all Winnipeg Blue Bomber fans are. And it's worth noting, as I said, that the Rider fans were arguing with the Bomber fans before. So we don't really know what happened to start that fight. But we know how it ended. And not good to see fans rumbling in the stands. Kind of brings the level of classiness down, if you ask me. But it's past us now.
it wouldn't be a Bomber Rider game if somebody didn't get a couple knuckle sandwiches in there, though. Wouldn't you say? That's just the history of it.
Yeah, I've never seen it actually, that close to me. Been to a lot of games, but never saw that close. So,
It's unfortunate, for sure. Thanks for grabbing that, Dylan. And so we have one show left. So next week, we're going to put together our season finale extravaganza, sort of a best of show. We're going to pull some of our best clips from throughout the season. Dylan, what can people look forward to for our next big finale show?
Hey, you know what? We had a lot of great interviews this year. There were some funny moments, things that we kind of might have skipped over. We did close to 10-minute interviews with Rough Riders throughout the season, and there's a lot of good stuff within there. So one of my favorite interviews we did right at the beginning of the season was Brett Lowther. He said some great stuff that was relevant and applicable throughout the rest of the season. And so I think it's important that we just have this chance to go back, listen to the riders, appreciate some of the better moments, the funnier moments. Bryce with his bird game analysis, there's a few things. There was some comedy gold that we had this year, and I don't want us to forget that.
Not too many spoilers. I mean, you were singing some songs throughout the year.
Yeah, there's lots of good stuff we'll pull from and make a fun show. All right, let's wrap it up. Bryce, do you have any last words?
No, I'm just. Good. It was a good fought.
Sorry. When you say no, I assume you mean no.
Well, you want me, you want the genius to talk here, man. I'll talk your off. It's a good season, and the Riders they came through and they kind of fought the whole way, and they just didn't have enough to beat Winnipeg in the playoffs. But hey, that's the CFL, and that's like that old thing that Dylan would always talk about. Any given Sunday, any team can win. So I'm looking forward to the playoffs here in the CFL.
Dylan?
Oh, man. I remember, Mitch. You and I, we did the first episode here.
Yeah.
And it was preseason. And it's like, I don't know what to say. What am I going to say? How am I going to do this for a whole season? And here we are at the end of the season for the Riders anyways.
Yeah.
And
we stayed with it.
I wish it didn't end. I wish there was more football to talk. I some weeks I never shut up. Some weeks I just could keep going and going and going. You know what? Sometimes you just hit a wall, and we hit that playoff wall, and now we got to end it. We got to pull the plug. I don't want to do a podcast about the Calgary Stampeders winning the Grey Cup. I don't want to do a podcast about that. So that's why we're going to end it when the season ends for the Rough Riders, and I think that's perfectly okay.
That's right. So next week, we'll have our big wrap-up show, and that's it for tonight. For Dylan Robson and Bryce Wiles, I'm Mitch Wiles, and this was your Rider Outsiders.